half. She's a 7-star diamond. Oh, something she told me last night. She was signed up as an inactive coach for 9 months before she ever decided to work the business. Like she said, she canceled her Shakeology within 2 weeks. So like, don't discount those people. Still give them love if they come to you and ask for help. But anyway, she was 2019 Elite. She's an SE10 All-Star, former teacher, and retired husband. She retired her husband in April from law enforcement. So they both, and another incredible transformation as well. So, okay. So anyways, Kate is going to talk to you guys tonight. I asked her to be a guest because she's obviously killed it, and I want her to like teach you all of her ways. So please pay attention, please take notes, and give her all the respect in the world because she, I know, is going to give us some valuable information. So Kate, if you want to take it away.
Cool. Thanks so much, guys. I'm super excited. Such an honor. So I was an inactive discount coach under my coach's fiance for 9 months. I got in her challenge group. She invited me. I said yes right away, signed up with the challenge pack, and then I canceled 2 weeks later and said Shakeology was an overpriced protein shake and at-home workouts don't work. So don't ever discount people. It's usually it is their own excuses and their own limitations that's standing in their way. It's nothing to do with you. So that was like pretty much how my story started. So I'm just going to kind of go over my story, like the shortened version, hopefully. But it is a long one. And then I want to talk to you guys about like recruiting and showing up every single day, but showing up in a way that is relatable to your tribe, because I feel like so many people, like Emily said this last night on our call, like we can look at what everybody else is doing and like try to do what everybody else is doing. But at the end of the day, like that's not what's going to work. Like you have to figure out what is going to work best for you. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I did, and you can take the nuggets that like feel good for you and try it out. But if there's something that you're like, oh yeah, I don't really like that, like don't use it. Like go find something else that feels good. So like I said, I was in a challenge group. I started following my coach, or I didn't even start following my coach. So I was a teacher in the projects of East LA when I first started. So I was a first grade teacher. We had just moved out to California. We live in Arizona now, but we just moved out to California, and I had a really stressful first year. So first years of teaching is just hard in general. If you're a teacher, you know, but I decided to take my first year position in the projects of East LA. I had 36 first graders, so huge class size. I had a 3-hour commute every day. So I was commuting an hour and a half one way. And I started to just like totally stop taking care of myself. Like I had grown up in sports. I had grown up, you know, like knowing-ish how to eat healthy, sort of. Like my parents taught me to eat vegetables. Like I grew up active. When I went to college, my undergrad's actually in sports medicine. So I was around college athletes. I worked at a gym, even though I like never really went to the gym, but I was like an active person. I knew how to be healthy. But I feel like that first year of teaching, I went into like survival mode. Like I was just trying to function. I was just trying to get through the freaking day or get to the weekend. So I started to turn to food for comfort. So I became just like a typical like emotional eater, just like using food for comfort constantly, and convenience. It was way easier for me to go through the drive-through of In-N-Out and pick up dinner than it was for me to get home and cook. Curtis and I ate so many $5 Little Caesars hot ready pizzas. Like we needed like a pizza budget because we were just like, that's what we ate. And that was my lunch the next day. And I did not go to the gym. I had a gym membership, and actually our apartment was right next door to a 24-hour fitness. I'm not even joking. It was right next door on the corner, and I never went. I had a membership and never went. And I just totally just like lost myself that year. I was really burned out. I was really struggling in my career. I was struggling with my health. I was struggling because I was away from all my family for the first time ever. Curtis and I moved out to California with no family. It was just like, let's move to California. And it was probably the best and worst decision we ever made. He was trying to get into the police academy. So he actually, the law enforcement academies are a really long hiring process. And so he didn't have a job for like 9 months. So we were living in California on a first year teaching salary in Orange County while I was commuting to LA, and we racked up 10 grand of credit card debt. We were using credit cards to pay for groceries, and it was just like not the best first year of adulting we could have planned out for us. But, you know, I went to the doctor in February of 2017. Yeah, so February of 2017, I went to the doctor, and I had found out I gained about 35 pounds from when I had gone to California. So that was about 6 months. And I knew I had gained weight. Like, I knew that my clothes weren't fitting, and I was feeling really uncomfortable in my skin and not confident. And I felt awful all the time, exhausted and tired and emotional. But I didn't know how bad it was putting a strain on my health. And my doctor looked me right in the eye and said, Kate, you need to lose about 30 pounds. And I just was like, no, like what? Like I was in such denial. I have a history of heart disease in my family. My dad actually had a 99% blockage in his coronary artery 4 years ago and had to have heart surgery. I lost my uncle 5 or 6 years ago of a heart attack before the age of 60. I lost my grandpa of a heart attack before the age of 60. And then the month I signed up to coach, my other uncle had a heart attack and went into the ICU, but he actually fully recovered. So it was like this big wake up call from the doctor, like, you cannot keep living like this, or you're not going to live to be able to see your grandkids grow up. And that was something that was like a big, like, punch in the gut, and I needed to like figure my ish out. So I left the doctor's office and was like motivated as heck, right? Like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat vegetables. Like, everything's going to be great. And I ended up reading the patient summary form, which I never read those things, but under the patient notes, it said like goal weight, and it had like the weight she wanted me to be at. And then under it, it said, find a new job and take care of yourself. Because I had broke down and told her, like, I'm commuting to LA and it's really hard. So she put on the doctor's like prescription, find a new job and take care of yourself. And I joke when I'm uncomfortable. So I called Curtis and was like, I have a doctor's note to quit my job. And he had just gotten in the academy, and he's like, dear God, please do not do that. Like, we can figure something out, but like don't do that right now. Because we can't do that. So I ended up looking for another job, but I never went to the gym. So even though I left that day feeling motivated and inspired, I still went home and just scrolled motivational quotes on Pinterest. I still just went to Instagram hashtags and looked up inspo and said, tomorrow I'm going to start. And that's how I found my coach. So I found her on the Explore page on Instagram or through like a hashtag. And I found a transformation picture that at the time she had lost 30 pounds. And I remember looking at the picture and saying, I look like her on the left and I want to look like her on the right. And all I did was double tap the photo. I didn't follow her. I didn't comment. I did not click the link in her bio. I did not vote in a poll. I did not swipe up. She didn't even have 10,000 followers, so that wasn't even a thing. I didn't do any of that. I literally just liked her photo. And the next day she was in my inbox with an invite, and it changed my entire life. So when I'm going to talk to you guys about inviting, and I'm going to remind you of this because people are so afraid to invite, especially in the beginning. That's like one thing that holds so many people back. But what you have to offer is a gift. And if she wouldn't have invited me that day, if she wouldn't have decided like, I'm going to invite everyone that liked this photo today, then I wouldn't be where I'm at. Like, it honestly like scares me at where I would be. So she invited me. I signed up for the challenge pack that day, was like, what's the catch? She was like, it was some invite, like, I'm doing an accountability group with a bunch of girls, like, you should do it with me. And I was like, what's the catch? And she's like, there's no catch. And I'm like, well, that means like, how much money is it? Like, I meant how much does it cost? And she told me, and I think it was like $160. It was like a normal challenge pack that it is now. I put it on a credit card and I said, hey, this is it. This is where I'm drawing the line in the sand. I did it for 2 weeks and I quit. And I told you those excuses that I told you. I said I was too busy. I said at-home workouts don't work. I told I told her, oh, Shakeology was an overpriced protein shake. That's really great that works for you, but it doesn't work for me. And I wasn't being like mean, but I was like being mean. Like I was putting up my guard because I did it for 2 weeks and didn't see what I wanted to see. I wanted a quick fix. I wanted it to happen overnight. And that's not how this works. That's not how anything worth doing works. So I quit, and for the next 9 months, I watched her every single day. I typed in her name on Instagram and I looked at what she posted that day. I watched every single one of her stories. And you guys, at the time, she probably had a couple thousand followers. Like she didn't have a large following. I don't even know if like aesthetics were a thing in 2017 on Instagram. Like filters weren't a thing. Like it was nothing that you would look at now and be like, I'm going to stalk this person. It was just, I connected with her on such a real level. And I showed up on her Instagram every single day watching her to see if she would stick to it, to see if what inspo she was putting out there. And she just kept being my friend. Like she would just message me if she saw me watching her stories, or she followed me. So she'd see my stories, or like the one I would put up that was like my dog. And it'd be like, oh my gosh, I love your dog. He's so cute. Like she would just like start conversations with me for the next 9 months. I ended up finding a new job. And then in December of 2017, we got engaged a couple months before, Curtis and I was still the same weight that I had been in February when the doctor told me to get healthy. I tried going to like a boot camp gym. I tried fad diets. I tried all this other stuff over the course of those 9 months. And in December, was in the same spot that I was 9 months prior. And so I remember looking around my classroom and thinking to myself, it was like lunchtime. I had found a new job and I felt better, but like emotionally, but I was still exhausted. I was just tired. I was so burned out and I felt like a complete shell of myself, and I needed to take care of myself. That's where it started. And I remember looking around my classroom and just thinking like, this is it. Like, this is just going to be my life for the next 40 plus years. This is just going to be how it goes. I'm just going to live for the weekend. I'm going to feel uncomfortable in everything I wear. I'm going to like constantly, be forcing a smile when I don't feel like it. Like, this is really it. And I texted Ashley that day and I said, okay, tell me about this coaching thing and don't BS me. And that was literally the message I sent her after not talking to her for probably like 2 months. And she told me all about coaching. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. And I'm going to be a coach because I can't show up for just myself. I have to show up for other people or I'm not going to show up at all. I needed that extra accountability that coaching was going to bring in order for me to stick to it, because I had tried doing it as a challenger before and it didn't work. So I just decided that I was going to go all in with it. And she told me about it. I texted Curtis and said, I think I'm going to be a Beachbody coach. And he was like, cool. Don't know what that is, but fine. And I started that day. And it was this moment of, there was just this moment of like pure joy because I knew my life was about to change. Like, I didn't know how, and I didn't know what, and I didn't know why or what it was going to look like, but I just knew by me saying yes, I was going to change my life. And I started showing up from day one. I had 500 followers on Instagram. You guys can scroll back on my Instagram. I encourage you to do this. I encourage every coach that looks at me like I'm on this pedestal and like scroll back to the very bottom of my Instagram and look at what my feed looked like and look at the things I was posting, because I started showing up day one, 30 pounds heavier than I am today, completely unhealthy, the busiest I had ever been in my entire life, commuting 2 hours a day, planning a wedding. I was coaching middle school basketball. I was a full-time teacher. I was on 3 leadership committees, like busy. But I woke up at 4 a.m. every single day to do 80-day obsession because I came in on the 80-day obsession launch. And I proved to people what they could do if they just dropped their excuses. My first month as a coach, again, 500 followers, no Instagram experience, I didn't have a transformation. I hit Diamond in 3 weeks. I hit Success Club 46 my first month. Didn't even know what that meant, but I was just excited about where I was going, and people were either going to come with me or they weren't. And that was just the mindset that I had. And that's the mindset that I still have, is when you're inviting or when you're talking to people, like, you want to do this with me? Cool. If not, cool. Like, that's fine. It's literally, you have to have this mindset of like, not even like, you don't care. Like, you don't care if they, like, you obviously want them to join you, but if not, that's fine. Like, this isn't for everybody. And they're probably going to be around, like, back around next year when they see you show up for another year. But like, you literally cannot have any emotion tied to the outcome. You can't have any emotion tied to it, because if Ashley would have given up on me, if she would have been like, yeah, that girl who's in my challenge group for like 2 weeks and quit, she's never going to be a top coach. That's not going to happen. Then she would have been holding herself back from potential that she was seeing in people, and then holding me back from me being able to believe in my potential. So this last year has been insane. Our team has just exploded, and I'm so grateful for everybody that's trusted me along this journey, because it has been wild. But when I think of like the top things that I feel like our team is really good at, and the reason why people have wanted to join us, or the reason why I've been able to recruit the people that I do, or the reason my team's able to recruit the way they do. Hi, Heather. I love Heather. I just saw her in the chat. I just had to say hi. It's how you show up. It's how you show up in your business, in your social media. That is how you attract your people. That is how you recruit. That is the foundation. Stop trying to be like everybody else. Like, you have so many people that you get to look up to, and so many incredible mentors, but you need to figure out who you are, and you need to show up in that way, because that's how you're going to attract your tribe. And we hear it all the time, but I still see coaches trying to do the exact same thing as somebody else, like copying captions from other coaches. I'm like, yo, like, that's not you. Like, that's not going to work, because it's not you. It's not authentic. And so not only do you need to show up consistently, like we hear it all the time. There's a reason we hear it all the time. There's a reason that people tell you to show up every day and show up consistently, is because it works. So if you get tired of hearing people saying consistency, don't get tired of it, because that's the thing that works. But it's being real. It's being real, but also knowing how to spin it to win it. So it's being real and authentic, but knowing how to, I personally like to talk about my struggles on Instagram, on my stories, on all that stuff, but then I talk about how I'm getting myself out of it, or I talk about what I'm going to do in order to like move forward. When I say like be vulnerable and real, it's not go on your Instagram and just bitch and complain all day. Like, no one wants to be a part of that. Like, you need to be a light in somebody's life. And when you find your fire and you start to share that fire with others, people want to be close to that, whatever your fire is. And I always say that to my team. I say, people want to be close to the fire. So when you go to your Instagram, do you feel like there's a fire there? Do you feel like someone's going to go there and like truly find a light in their darkness when they come to your Instagram? Curtis and I are currently dealing with some fertility stuff, and I hadn't shared it on social media until like last week, I think. And I was very scared too. That was one thing that I just was very nervous to talk about. And while I think we should be vulnerable and real, I think there's some things that we don't have to share on social media when we're not ready. But I had felt ready, and I felt like I was able to start to talk about that. Like, you guys remember, you don't owe anything to your followers. You don't have to talk about anything. But I do think if you feel like it can help somebody or can change one person's life, then do it in a way that feels comfortable for you. And when I did that, and I spinned it to win it. So I basically like talked about my struggle, and then I said, but like, here's my outlook. Here's what I'm doing. Here's like, I'm cheering all you other people who want to be mamas on, like, you're warriors. And I was just like super positive and like tried to be sensitive to the topic. Not only did I get an incredible response from it, but it made me feel better. So Rachel Hollis always says, act how you want to feel. So it's not fake it till you make it. It's act how you want to feel. Like, if you want to feel positive, like, go act positive. Like, go tell someone that they mean something to you. Go on your stories and talk about something you read in your personal development. You need to act how you want to feel. People want to be close to that fire and that positivity, and they want to see a light in their darkness. And there's a way, you guys have an incredible way of being able to share that on social media and impact so many more people than you could just in your real life. So show up consistently, be vulnerable and real, but make sure that you're spinning it to win it, because I have found in the times where I am negative Nancy, talking about my struggles, complaining about showing, like I complain about wanting to show up for my workout. I'm always like, I really didn't want to show up today, but here's why I did. Or I really didn't want to show up today, but coaching holds me accountable. Like there's a spin it to win it example. But if I'm constantly going on my stories and talking about how I don't want to show up, then like nobody else is going to want to show up either. So you kind of have to just like remember what you put out there is what you attract. So spin it to win it, consistency, and be freaking excited. Like be excited with the process. Be excited about the journey. Stop basing your excitement on results. Stop basing your excitement on Success Club points. Stop basing your excitement on rank. While those things are, for me, super motivating and something that drives me, are hitting, like I'm very like numbers oriented, and like give me a number, I'm going to go push to hit it. Give me a rank, I'm going to push to hit it. But I don't base my happiness or my excitement about what we get to do every single day on if I hit that or not. I base it on the journey. I base it on the process, because how freaking lucky are we? How like incredible is this opportunity? Like we get to wake up every single day and share our journeys and impact so many people's lives. And we get to wake up every single day and move our bodies. There are so many people in this world that cannot do that. There are so many people in this world that, like the fact that you guys are all here right now, there's a lot of people that didn't get to wake up today. And as morbid as that sounds, it's something that I think we need to always be reminded of, that like you should just be excited about the breath that you have in your lungs today. And if that's the only thing you can be excited about, then like that's the only thing, and that's okay. Like sometimes things are hard, and sometimes you are going through really hard seasons and it is tough. But I think you also need to lead your life with gratitude. And the more you search for gratitude and the more you search for things you're grateful for, the more you're going to find those things and the more you're going to attract those good things in your life. So be freaking excited. Like when I am recruiting, my best months of recruiting, this month has been awesome, is when I'm freaking excited. So like I'm excited about Morning Meltdown. I freaking love this program. It's the first time I've actually followed a meal plan to a T since 80 Day Obsession when I first started my business. And I'm excited about the workouts. I'm excited about the process. I'm excited about what's going down, on my team. And it's not that like a ton of people are hitting Success Club or, we're rank advancing like crazy. It's just like, it feels good. And it feels exciting. And I get to wake up every day and be able to serve people or talk to you guys. And I find the little things in my day that make me excited to be able to be here. And I think we need to work from a place of that more often than like, oh, well, I didn't hit that goal, so I'm all bummed out. Like, cool, you didn't hit that goal, try again. Set it again. Go for it again. You got to get back up. And you got to be excited for the fact that you even have the opportunity to hit that goal. Excited about the fact you even said yes to this journey. Excited about the fact you get to move your body every day. You get to fuel yourself with healthy, nutritious foods, and go from a place of gratitude and just like, how freaking lucky are we that we have this opportunity? Because I think we forget sometimes how freaking fun this is. Like this business is fun. This business is hard work, and it takes work, and it takes like grind, and you're going to make sacrifices, and you're going to build a business when you do that. But this business is fun. This isn't, you're not going out and building a house. I'm thinking building a house because there's a house being built next to us in 120-degree weather and like sweating your face off. Like that's not what your work is today. It might be for your full-time job. You might be a construction worker. If you are, bless you. But when you're a coach, like your business is fun. Your job is fun. It's going to take work, but you have to remember how fun it is. And people want it to be fun. So, all right. So that was like my like main topic, like basically how you show up. Like you have to remember that how you show up is how you attract people. But to give you some tangible advice and tangible tips, you need an invite. And I told you I would talk about this, but I want to talk about it maybe a little bit more than I thought I was going to, because it impacts so many people in such a way that you have no idea how it's going to impact their life. So you need to make sure that you are inviting. You guys, if they are following you, and this is my opinion, totally my opinion, but if they are following you and they're watching your stories and they're engaging on your posts, if they're doing any of that, they're getting an invite. Like they made the decision to come into your business. They made the decision to press that blue follow button at some point or another, which means that they gave you permission to slide into their DMs. So don't be gross about it. Like if you don't want to be gross, don't be gross. If you don't want to be weird, don't be weird. Like your invite needs to sound like how you would talk in real life. I always tell my team that, like, stop trying to like make it perfect or say the right thing. You need to just talk like how you would in real life. I always say sister. So like in my posts, I say like, hey sister. That's just like the thing I say. I don't know. This is what I call people. Like some people say girl, some people say like girlfriend. I don't know. I say sister. So when they see my post, they're seeing like, hey sister, they're saying sis, they're seeing all this stuff. So when I go into their DMs and I say, hey sis, don't know if you've seen, but I'm enrolling for my next boot camp and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Are you interested in more deets? That's literally my invite. Like how I would say in real life. If I was face to face with someone and they were like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this boot camp. I'm actually enrolling for my next one. You should totally do this with me. That's how I would talk in real life. And I encourage you to approach it in that way. I don't believe that you need to build a connection with someone before you invite them. If they're following you, they probably feel like they know you already. If they're following you and you're doing a good job of showing up and you're being yourself and you're being real and you're being vulnerable and you're showing up every day, chances are when you slide into their DMs, they're going to already feel like they know you. So I always just go straight to the invite. And if they don't want it, then like that's fine. But they're watching my stories every day and they're liking my posts and they're following me. So I'm going to invite them. And if they decide to unfollow me, cool. If they decide to like ignore me, cool. They're probably going to be back. The amount of people that I have invited like month after month after month as they continue to watch my stories, and then they finally on like month 10 decide to say yes, is insane. But it's because I'm consistently following up with people. I'm consistently sliding in their DMs. If they're going to consistently watch my stuff, I want to know why they haven't joined me yet. And you guys can also have fun with your follow-ups. Like I always send like the Kevin Hart gif. Now that you can send gifs on Instagram, it's like the Kevin Hart one where he's like peeking around a corner. That's like a follow-up for me. Like I'll like send that if they've ghosted me. Or I'll send like a gif where I'm like waving and it's like Forrest Gump and he's like, or it's not Forrest Gump, but it's that actor. He's like waving and he's like, hi. And when you do like that kind of stuff, people think it's funny. Like if they're your tribe, they're going to think it's funny. So figure out like a funny way to do follow-ups. Like don't dread follow-ups because that's not fun. But again, just like keeping it fun, keeping it lighthearted. You're not a robot. Like do it, figure out a way that works for you. I always say, like, girl, I see you still watching. Why haven't you jumped in yet? With like the eyes emoji. So you just have to figure out like, you know, like you're allowed to call them out. Like they're watching you every single day. Like they are so in tune with your life. They're watching you every single day and they're not responding to your messages. There has to be a reason why. And eventually they're going to tell you or they're going to unfollow you. So it's not a big deal. But you need to remember that what you have to offer is a gift. And you guys have seen firsthand with your team how many lives it has changed. Whether this gift has changed your life yet, or you've seen it change somebody else's, you need to believe in your core that what we have to offer is a gift. And if my coach would have never invited me, I have no idea where I'd be right now. I certainly would not be here talking to you. I certainly would not be here not in a job that I hate and my husband in the other room, not on the streets and, you know, not knowing if he'd be coming home. That one invite changed my entire life. So stop being afraid of inviting. Stop feeling like it's icky. Stop feeling like it's just something you need to check off your tracker. Stop letting it be the thing that you hate about this business and turn it into the thing that you love. Because that's the thing that's going to move your business forward, and that's the thing that's going to change people's lives. Now, you're going to get to a point in your business where you're not going to have to invite as much. But until then, you need to send invites. You need to keep showing up. You need to keep following up. And if anything, if you are like the person that's like, I hate invites, but I do it anyways, like, then get to the point, work your butt off to the point where you don't have to send them anymore, where people are just going to be coming to you. but you got to get there. You don't start there. So if that's something that you're like, I don't want to send invites, so I'm going to work my butt off by sending invites to get to the point where I don't have to send them anymore, then that's the mindset you have to have. But you got to start somewhere. We all start at 0. We all start with however many followers. We all started as an active coach. For me, I was inactive. We all start as emerald coaches. We all go to diamond. We all have started somewhere and we worked our way up. None of us started at where we're at today. So you need to make sure you're inviting. And then my third thing is you need to serve. So I actually learned this really from Ashley and Emily, but like serving the people that are already there. Like stop going and trying to like get more followers. And like, obviously you need to grow your Instagram. You don't want to run out of people. Obviously you need to like figure out growth, but stop being so focused on the fact that you need to go get more followers to have this incredible number on your social media, and start serving the people that are already there. And that number is going to grow. That is exactly how I grow my Instagram. It is all organic. It is literally just like showing up and putting things out there that people like. Like pay attention to what your people like. Pay attention to what are they commenting on? What are the things they're engaging with? And do more of that. Like that's what people want to see. And you can twist it into ways like I was talking to a coach and she was like, people really love when I talk about my faith or when my husband's in my photos. So I was like, cool. How can you talk about your faith and how can you have your husband in your photos, but also talk about coaching and your fitness? There's ways to like incorporate both. And now she's been doing that and she's like, oh my gosh, like this actually works. I'm like, yeah, I kind of know what I'm talking about sometimes. But you guys need to remember that the people that are there are already here for you. They're already here for it. They pressed follow. They're watching your stories. Those people are already there. So make sure that you're serving them, no matter if it's 5 people or 5,000 people. I hit 1-star diamond with less than 1,000 followers. So if you can tell me that you can't move your business forward or you can't hit diamond because you don't have enough followers, that's BS. You got to figure it out. You got to figure that that's not the reason. The reason is the effort you're putting in. The reason is what limitations are you telling yourself? What are the beliefs you're telling yourself that aren't true? And are you actually doing the work? Because that's the reason why you're not where you want to be. Okay. Or you've been a coach for like a minute and you're like, it's not working. I'm like, well, you've been a coach for a minute. You need to make sure that you like do it consistently over time. Like make the decision to be here a year from now. Because making the decision to be here a year from now, that girl a year from now or that guy is going to be so proud that you made that decision a year ago. So freaking proud. I looked back at a picture that I posted when I first started coaching and it was my post today. Like if I wouldn't have said yes, I don't know where I would be, but like I can look back today and be like, dang, I am so dang proud of her for going all in a year and a half ago or a year and 8 months ago or whatever it was. So you guys need to make the decision. Make the decision that you're not going to fail, because the only way you're going to fail is if you quit and you throw your hands in the air and you decide that this isn't for you. That's the only way you're going to fail. It's not a rank. It's not Success Club. It's not any of that stuff. The way you're going to fail is if you give up. So you need to make the decision that every single day you're going to show up and you're going to put in the action and you're going to be excited about this opportunity that you have. You're going to be so excited that people are going to have FOMO and they're going to want to know what you're doing and how they can be a part of it. And you're just going to share this gift with every single person that comes across your story, your journey, every single person in real life and on social media. Because what you have to offer is a gift, and you need to remember that every single day. Write it down on a sticky note and put it on a mirror and repeat it to yourself every day. But that's all I have. I can answer questions for sure, but that was like my tangent that I wanted to.
I had a question, and if you said it, I'm sorry, but how many invites do you send a day?
When I first started, it was, well, since I had like 500 followers, I sent like 35 a day so that I didn't like run out of people. And then once I started to like grow my following as I was inviting, like probably like a month in, I was sending 62. So 62 invites a day. And I did that literally until like this last May. Like I did that for a year and a couple months. 62 invites every single day. And the reason it's 62 is because on a notebook, I can like legit show you guys. I have the inviting notebook right here. So I just use like a regular notebook and I just make 2 columns and I number it 1 through 31 and 31 or 32 through 62. And I would just go through and I filled out their names as I was inviting, and I did it every single day. And I mean, I have notebooks, like notebooks of invites, because that's what I did for an entire year. And that's how I built my business, was around invites. Now I don't have to send invites that much, if at all, in order to hit, the numbers that I'm trying to hit. So get to the point where you don't have to send invites. But there will be times where I'm like, okay, if I'm telling my coaches to send invites, then I need to go send invites. So I make sure that like I'm always staying in phase 1 in that way. So I am inviting, maybe like off my stories, like drop your email, or, talking like this is literally my invite to you. But there are days where I catch myself scrolling on social media and I'm like, I could literally be sending invites right now. So instead of the second I catch myself scrolling, I start sending invites. So right now, if I'm being honest, it's probably like 35 invites a couple days every week. But that's because I sent 62 invites for 7 days a week for so long. So you guys have to like remember, we all start at 0.
Love that. Okay, so someone asked, how do you track your follow-ups?
Google Streak. I do everything on email. So I send the invite, and then when they want more info, I get their email. Like if Instagram were to disappear tomorrow, I would still have a business because I have so many emails that I could email people. So I definitely think, and I was a hardcore email hater. I was like, email sucks. I'm not going to do it. It's a waste of time. Like all this stuff. People don't answer email. Like people don't look at email. Yeah, that's a lie that you're telling yourself. Make sure that you get their email. Even if you want to have the conversation over in Instagram, make sure you get their email, because if Instagram were to disappear, you would lose those people. So I just use Google Streak, and every month I have like a whole pipeline of people that have never signed up with me but inquired about information. Every month they get an email that says, I'm enrolling for my next boot camp, or I'm enrolling for my new coach mentorship. And it's hundreds of follow-ups every single month, just because I keep track of them in Google Streak. It makes it really easy and simple.
Cool.
Invites the same people. Yes. Like I think like if someone ghosts you and you send an invite, if I send an invite and they ghost me, they're getting another invite next month if they're still watching my stories. Like if I see them still watching my stories, I see them still liking my posts, they're getting another invite until they tell me to like F off, or like they sign up with me. And I've actually never had someone tell me to F off. So, some people have been, not very nice. We've all run into people that have shitty attitudes. But that's fine. They don't have to follow me. There's so many other people they could follow, but it's really funny because like, well, you're watching my stories every day. So sorry about it. So yeah, I send invites to the same people every month until they respond with something. Unless it's like, maybe if it's like the 12th invite and they still have ignored me, that's probably when I would stop. But usually they sign up before that. So I've never had that happen.
Because I know this will probably get asked, but is your like coach invite about like the same as or do you invite to coaching specifically, or how do you choose?
No, I don't invite to coaching. This is like one thing that I think makes me different than like a lot of other top coaches, is I don't lead with the coaching opportunity ever. Unless I'm talking on Instagram and I'm talking about like right now I'm about to run an info session. So I'm saying like, if you've been interested in coaching, like drop your email. If you've been interested in coaching, I'm running this info session. I have invited before to sneak peeks, like when I was kind of a newbie coach, but I joined the business for the accountability. I joined for my own health and fitness. So I always lead with a challenge group, get them in, and then like within their first 2 weeks, if they're totally rocking it or they need more accountability, I bring up coaching. So I convert a lot of challengers to coaches, but a lot of my like diamond coaches, I was talking to them today, and a lot of them signed up as a challenger and a coach at the same time, but it was because they saw me on Instagram talk about how it held them accountable, how it holds me accountable. Or they saw me talk about the community. I was talking about this. It's interesting to me in my tribe, my business builders don't come from me talking about income. My business builders don't come from me talking about the actual, like, build a 6-figure business, like have all this financial freedom. My builders come from me talking about the community and being able to pay for the big bag of dog food. My builders come from being able to talk about like how I was able to pay for groceries, or how I'm able to, have this incredible accountability in this community. I feel like the people that come onto my team that are like, I want to build a 6-figure business and I want to be super successful, I want to be a top coach, they quit within the first week because it doesn't happen right away and they want that instant gratification. Whereas the people that come onto my team and they want the accountability and they maybe want to pay off some debt or like help pay for their wedding, or they want to, make ends meet and pay for their products, those ones end up being multiple star diamonds. Sydney Thompson is one of my coaches, and she literally talked bad about Beachbody on her stories, like went off about how awful Beachbody is. And I invited her anyways. And she ended up signing up in a challenge group. 3 days later, signed up as a coach, and she's a 5-star elite coach. She joined for the community. Her husband was deployed and she had no friends in Washington, and she joined for the community. And she ended up being a business builder. So I think you have to figure out, like, really, truly, why did you sign up, and talk about that, because that's how you're going to attract your people. If I start to talk too much about the income, or I talk too much about like quitting my job and stuff like that, I don't attract the right people. I attract the people that think that it's a quick buck and that it happens overnight. So I don't lead with coaching. That's a long answer to a question, but I don't lead with coaching. I have invited to sneak peeks before, and I do recommend doing that, especially if you're not getting people just by like attraction marketing. Just inviting to free info sessions. Like if they like your photo that was talking about coaching, that's a good way to just invite them to coaching. Or if you see someone and you're like, I think you'd be really awesome, like that's a way to invite to coaching and plant the seed. But for the most part, I just lead with challenge groups, and then I talk about how this is so much more than just a business, where I feel like you have to talk about both. Like you have to talk about how it's a business, or else people aren't going to build. And you also have to talk about how it's more than a business, or people aren't going to stick around. So it's kind of like a twofold thing. It's like a double-edged sword. If you go too far to one side, I feel like you don't attract like your people. Unless if your reason was like, my reason is to build a business and create financial freedom, then like you got to talk about that. But if your reason is different, you got to talk about that. So I think it's something that we all need to do better at. What does your sneak peek look like? So I do a webinar. I've done everything. I've done Facebook groups. They worked for a while and then they stopped working for me. Again, this is something like you guys got to figure out what works for you and stick with that. Like don't jump around to a bunch of different things. Figure out what works for you and stick with that. If it doesn't work, change it. So I did Facebook groups. It stopped working. I went to Instagram and I ran 2 on Instagram, and that did not work for me. Like it was like worse than Facebook. So I stopped that, and then I started just doing webinars. So like a live, just like this, a Zoom call. I do it once a month, and I save the recording. So when I'm talking about coaching, I have someone interested in coaching, I just send them the recording of it. And that's how I've recruited all my coaches the last 2 months. And I've had the last 2 months, I've recruited the most business builders than I think I've ever. And when I say business builders, I mean people like actually getting Success Club points and like hitting Emerald and rank advancing. I've recruited the most than I ever have in my entire business. So I think you just have to find what works for you. But I basically just do like what everybody else does, just in a 1-hour call. So I tell my story, I talk income, I talk time and tasks, and then I talk about objections and hesitations. And I'm very tough love, so I just like squash everything out the gate, and like they know what they're getting when they come in. Like I don't sugarcoat anything. I ask my coach to not BS it, so I'm not going to BS it for them. And that works really well. I think I attract the type of people that like, I'm very spontaneous. So like when I want something, I want it now. So if I'm interested in coaching, like I want the info now so I can make a decision. So the like 3-day groups weren't working for me because my people want the info now so they can make a decision. And that's something I realized I was forgetting about. So that's been working really well for me. But again, just figure out what works for you. Do you ever post in your challenge groups about the coaching opportunity? I don't. I just personally invite them if I think they're going to be an awesome coach. I post about discount coach opportunity. So I'll post in my challenge groups about discount coaching and how they can save money on Shakeology and how they can save money. I literally just like outline it for them. I get a ton of discount coaches that way, but I don't post about the coaching opportunity mostly because I feel like I personally want it to feel more personal to them. Like I don't want to post in my challenge group and be like, and no offense to anybody that does this, I don't want this to come off offensive, but I don't want to post like, I'm enrolling for my coach mentorship and you should all like jump in with me and like, you should do this with me if you're interested. And then like message someone and be like, you should do this. Cause I feel like if I got that message, I'd be like, well, she's asking everybody. So like, how do I know that she knows I would be good at it? So I think like when I personally message my challengers and I'm like, dude, you'd be so good at this because of X, Y, and Z, then it gets their brains like, it gets the wheels turning a little bit. And I think it feels a little bit more personal. I feel like asking someone to coach is a lot more personal than asking someone to join a challenge group. Because I want people that are serious. I want people that are going to stick around. And this is a big commitment. So that's how I talk about it. But any other questions?
Anyone have any last minute questions for Kate? This has been awesome. So thank you so much. I'm like so blown away. It's like you can be in this business for so long and then still learn so many new things. So thank you for coming on and just sharing everything. Someone asked a last minute question. Do you enter all your invites into Streak on a daily basis, or how do you manage that?
I don't enter my invites. So I just do it on the notebook. I just do that. And then when they respond is when I put them in for like my follow-ups. So like you guys, if I send 62 invites, I'm lucky if one person responds, like even to this day. So like that's normal. Just put that out there. That's normal. Even when I put a poll up that asks about my boot camp, I might get one person that votes. But if I ask about nail polish, I get thousands. So like know that that's normal. Doesn't matter how long you've been in this business. But I don't track invites. I just track them on my notebook for myself to like know like, okay, I need to finish this page before I can go to bed. And then when they respond is when I put them into my Google Streak, like that they wanted more info. So, it's not that much data entry at all. It's pretty easy to manage, but I recommend doing it. I would probably do it on a weekly basis. If I were like teaching full-time still, I would probably just collect everybody and then, keep talking to people and whatnot. If I'm not, doing it via email all the time, I would probably just like make sure I entered everybody like on Saturday or Sunday and then start the new week fresh. So I hope that's helpful.
I have a quick question because I don't know if Emily told you, I think she did. So this group is some diamonds and pushing for star diamond, but most of them I would say are pushing for diamond. And I also, like Emily, I sometimes I feel like when people get on, I'm like gonna learn, like the team will learn, and then I'm blown away how much I actually learn. So this was really helpful for me too. But for the new coaches who are pushing to diamond, you have amazing confidence. And I'm guessing that you didn't come into this business with that you had to build that. So could you talk about maybe how you built that confidence? And maybe your answer, I think, is going to be, I just did it until I got better at it. But could you talk about that? Because a lot of the people are kind of new pushing and I think are letting fear probably stop them.
So I don't know if I was ever like not confident. Like, I don't know if I was ever like, I don't feel like I doubted myself in the beginning. I feel like now I get stuck in doubt more than I did in the beginning, for whatever reason. But I think I was just, when I was pushing for diamond, I was just freaking excited. Like, I was just so excited about this journey I was going on. I was so excited about ADD Obsession. Like, I dabbled in 21-day fix until 80-day came out. Like I knew this 80-day program was about to launch. I knew that this was happening. So I was talking about how I was going to do this 80-day program. I was going to go all in. Like I was going to change my life. And you can either watch me or get results. Like to my 500 followers, my freaking like 60 people watching me on stories. But I just found the belief in myself that I was going to be successful because I wasn't going to give up. And I feel like just that, I think action takes fear away. I feel like the reason people are afraid is because they haven't taken action. And the second they start like really taking action, it's not so scary anymore. Like when you send your first like chunk of invites and you get done, you're like, wow, I didn't die. Like that's pretty cool. Then you realize that like it's not that scary. So then when you just keep doing it every single day, it's not scary. And I think when coaches, I think like diamond coaches and beyond, when you stop doing those things every day, it starts to get harder to start back up again. Whereas if you just start it and then you just never stop, like that fear never really has time to creep back in because you're just taking action constantly. And I feel like that's how I built confidence, was by taking action. I feel like if I would have just like stayed on the sidelines and like dipped my toe, then I would have been fearful of other people's opinions, or I would have been fearful of rejection or fearful of not succeeding. But instead of like surrendering to all of that, I just took action from day one. And, you know, everyone is so capable. We're all so much more capable than we really believe we are. So if you can't like believe in yourself enough to do it, like believe in what you have to offer. Like you obviously know the programs work. You obviously know the coaching opportunity works. You have amazing mentors and people in your life that like are successful. So you know it works. So even if you don't have belief in yourself, you have to have belief in what we have to offer. And then as you continue to take action and offer that to people, then that belief bucket is going to start to fill up. And the more you take action, the more that bucket's going to fill up. And if someone says something nasty to you, or, you know, you're getting a lot of rejection or whatever, it's only going to take a little bit of that. It's going to empty your bucket just a little bit. It's not going to like completely empty it all over the place because you've been taking so much action for so long. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. All the things. I wrote a paragraph. I basically just wrote down everything you just said.
When someone responds to your invite, do you just ask them for the email straight out or move the combo to email? I just ask them for their email. So I just say like, if they're like, yeah, I'd love more info, I'm like, cool, do you have a good email that I could send deets to? And then I like send them an email. The body of the email basically just like pumps up the value. So I just talk about like I'm super excited that you're interested in more info. Like attached is a PDF. I just make like my PDFs on Canva. They're nothing special. They're everything we've seen from everybody else, but it just has like package outline for people with prices. But in the body of the email, I talk about the value. So I talk about like, you're going to get a year of workouts. This is what our accountability group looks like. You're going to get this. You're going to get that. Remember, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. Like I pump up the value so that when they click the PDF, they're like, oh, like that's it? Like that's how much it is? Like you just made it sound like it was going to be like so much money because there's so much value. And so that's how I do it. And then I also, in my Google Streak, I put their email address, but I also put their Instagram name as their name so I can follow up on email and on Instagram. Like once they give me their email, like they can't get away from me. Like I honestly probably feel a little sorry for them. I've only ever had one person though. It happened the other day where I email blasted, followed up with everybody, and they just emailed back, unsubscribe. Like one word, unsubscribe. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm not an automated robot, but that's fine. So, and like I didn't die because someone didn't want my emails anymore. So yeah, I think that's something that's helpful. Yeah, Emily, I can send you over just like an example of an email and like what my PDF looks like if they want to see it.
Cool. That would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, we'll let you go. We have to hop on our team call, but thank you so much for giving us an hour of your time and just like blowing us all away at this valuable information. So I appreciate it. I know I'm not the only one. And yeah, keep killing it, girl.
Of course. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good night.